may be a little afraid to make pasta at home, thinking it's too complicated. It's not. It's easier than you think. These are some hand-torn noodles and an over-the-top Korean chicken noodle soup. So these noodles could not be simpler. It's really a 3-ingredient dough. All-purpose flour, a little bit of salt, and water. I'm just gonna mix them together with the spatula till the dough comes together. And then I'll get in there with my hands and press the dough into the bowl to pick up the excess flour. The nice thing about these is there's no such thing as overworking it. In fact, the more you work this dough, the better. The noodles will be chewier when you cook them in the soup. So just keep pressing it in the bowl with your knuckles here. So you've picked up all of that flour into the dough. Now out on the counter and just knead it until it's smooth. It should take 3 or 4 minutes. It's not a very sticky dough. It's a pretty dry dough. But once you knead it until it's smooth, and we'll wrap it up tightly in plastic wrap and let it rest, the water will hydrate the flour and it will smooth out the dough. We'll be able to just pinch it off right into the soup. You just keep turning it over onto itself, turn it about a quarter, turn it over on itself, and press with the heel of your hand. So you might think of homemade pasta. Usually there's egg yolks, whole eggs. This is the simplest form of homemade pasta that you can make. It's more along the lines almost like a dumpling in texture, but it's very, very simple. If you have some flour, water, and a little salt, you can make noodles at home. So this is looking pretty good. It's fairly smooth. It feels really dry right now, but once it rests, that dough will soften, the flour will be hydrated, and it will stretch like a rubber band. You should let it rest for maybe about a half an hour, but by the time we finish the Korean chicken soup, they'll be ready to pull. So hand-torn wheat noodles in this Korean soup is a classic dish called sujebi. We've done a few alterations here. Classically, it's a broth made with anchovies, but we're gonna make it with chicken breast, shred that chicken up and add it with some vegetables later, and cook our hand-torn noodles right in that soup. We're also going to add a few beautiful Korean ingredients, some gochujang, of course, fermented chili paste, and some gochugaru, which are chili flakes from a particular chili that are much fruitier, not quite as spicy, and a classic condiment in Korean cooking. So to make the broth, it's really, really simple. To start, 2.5 quarts of water, 2 chicken breasts on the bone, chopped up onion, scallion whites, some minced garlic, tablespoon of soy sauce, salt, and black pepper. Once it comes to a boil, turn that down to a low simmer, cover it partially, and cook it for about 25 minutes. It's been about 25 minutes. The chicken is cooked through, so I'm gonna take that out and let it cool for a minute so I can shred it up. While that's cooling, I'm gonna put another mixture together that I will stir in at the very end when we're ready to eat the soup. This is bright, bold, fresh flavor that will really bring that chicken broth to life and be great with those hand-torn noodles. It's almost like a salsa of sorts, but it's scallions, toasted sesame oil, toasted sesame seeds, more soy sauce, and then the gochujang. This is our fermented chili paste. If you look in any grocery store, you can find gochujang now. I highly recommend you get it, particularly if you like to use ketchup or you like to use spicy chili sauces. It has almost a mapley flavor. It's spicy, smoky, but it's not a big blast of heat like Tabasco. It just adds a lot more depth of flavor to anything you add it to. And then finally, this is our gochugaru. This is Korean chili flake, rather like red chili peppers you put on pizza, but this is a Korean version. It's not quite as spicy as red chili flakes, a little fruitier and milder. You can certainly add a little bit of red chili flake if you like, but you may find that the gochujang is spicy enough for you. And we don't want this soup to blow our head off with spice. We want to taste all of the ingredients, but we want to add this big pop of fresh flavor at the end. Now for our soup, I'm going to add a few more vegetables here, just some carrots and some zucchini diced up. Simmer that for 8 or 10 minutes until those vegetables are tender. Then we'll add our noodles. I'm going to shred up the chicken while the vegetables are cooking. This is a really nice, hearty weeknight soup for sure. Chicken, some carrots, some onions, and add that gochujang and toasted sesame oil, and of course our hand-torn noodles. This is a full meal in a bowl, and is really pretty simple. So chicken's ready, carrots are cooking, Now it's time for the noodles. Here's our dough. You will see when we unwrap it how much sort of softer and pliable it is just from sitting. The flour has hydrated from the water in there and it's ready to pull. So what I like to do is just pull back the plastic here a little bit so I have something to hang on to. And now with my forefinger and my thumb, I'm just gonna pinch and pull and snap off little bits. And these are gonna cook literally in 3 to 4 minutes. You could make these as long as you like. It does look like bubble gum and it actually feels like bubble gum, but you can actually swallow this. So if that's not the easiest noodle you've ever seen, I don't know what is. No eggs, no rolling, no cutting. Just knead it together, pinch off a little piece, give it a tug, and drop it in your soup. So I'll just let the hand-torn noodles cook for a few minutes until they start to float. Then we'll add our final sauce, put the chicken back in, and be ready to plate. Very fast. So the noodles are beginning to pop up. I'm gonna add the chicken back so it gets reheated. Let that come back up to a little simmer. So this looks great. I'm gonna turn off the heat. And now the real magic, this beautiful sauce made with scallions, sesame oil, the gochujang, gochugaru, sesame seeds, sesame oil. It's going right into the pot and it's going to bring the soup right to life before our eyes. I smell the toasted sesame, which I love, even drizzling that over noodles, anything, that oil's so good. But you also smell this almost vinegary kind of brightness from the gochujang. That fermented chili paste is a real bright, brassy flavor. And then of course the chicken in there, the chicken broth, the vegetables, the onions. This is a beautiful, beautiful meal in a bowl. Get a good ladle full of those noodles. The great thing about making noodles like this is they're gonna hold up. So this soup will reheat beautifully. If you were to use fresh pasta or store-bought pasta and put it in here, or even rice, and then reheat it, that's gonna disintegrate. These won't. These are gonna stay nice and chewy, so you can enjoy this tomorrow for lunch. You know that sensation when you eat fresh pasta, that nice bouncy chew? These have it. I love this soup.